Okay, good evening. We will call this meeting to order for the City of Aiken Planning Commission for Tuesday, June 11th, 2024, our 6 o'clock public meeting. Thank you all for being here. We're going to start out with the guidelines for public comments for City of Aiken Planning Commission meetings. Meetings are public forums in which many opinions are expressed and the business of the city must be conducted. As such, discipline, honorable, and professional decorum is paramount, and courteous and respectful communication is required. During public comment periods of the meeting, all questions and statements from the public shall be directed to the chairman. If you wish to speak, raise your hand and the chairman will recognize you. Please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. In order to allow an opportunity for everyone who wishes to address the commission, speakers should limit their comments to the agenda item or the application being discussed. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes to address an issue and may only address an issue once unless questions from the commissioner are posed to the speaker. So for item number 1 tonight, we're going to start with the approval of the minutes of the work session and the regular meeting minutes of May 14th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
You do, with one, I had mentioned in our work session that, what was his name? Hold on. Excuse me.
Mikhail.
Ahmed Mikhail was present during the work session. Incidental.
Okay.
Was there another one?
Chairman,
Pete,
yeah, I'd like
yep.
to order if the minutes could be amended on the second, third, and fourth paragraphs, the words first agenda item, second agenda item, and third agenda item be changed to actually add the item in there, or just a synopsis of what that application was all about.
Okay, so we have a correction to add an individual to the work session and then a correction to the paragraphs that mention agenda item, first agenda item, second agenda item, and third agenda item. We have a request that we be a little more specific on the application at hand.
Mr. Chairman, with that said, I approve the minutes.
You make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Messina. Discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Like, sign, oppose, and minutes pass unanimously. Okay, this next action, we have no old business. We'll move right into new business. Item A is the election of officers. We had a vice chairman that is no longer on the commission anymore, so therefore, according to our bylaws, we're going to have to elect a vice chairman for the commission for the remainder of this year. Do I have a motion or nomination?
Mr. Chairman, I think we should have Charles Matthews as our vice chair.
Second. Oh, sorry. No. Give you a speech, Sam.
He just did a very good job when we all had to recuse ourselves a couple meetings ago. He handled the meeting well. He handled our audience well. I think he did a great job and he should be commended for that.
I will second that. We have a motion for Charles to be vice chair and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Like, sign, oppose, and it is unanimous. Commissioner Matthews will be the vice chair for the Planning Commission for the remainder of the 2024 year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Item B. This is application number 24-20021. This is an annexation request. They are in the county under residential single-family conservation, and they're asking to come in under RS-15 residential single-family. This is tax map parcel number 105-18-13-002 on 113 Vivion Drive. Is the applicant here to speak on behalf of this application tonight? Okay. Any of those to speak for or against this application? Any comments? Okay, commissioners, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, in regards to application 24-20021, annexation request, current zoning RC, proposed zoning RS-15, I make a motion that we move to City Council for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Clarkson and a second Commissioner Matthews. Discussion. All those in favor, raise your hand. Like, sign, oppose. And it passes unanimously. Okay, application number C, application number 24-91005. This is a plan institutional concept plan amendment for signage at 449 Rutland Drive. This is at the Aiken High School, tax max parcel number 120-10-07-001 by Aiken County School District. Mr. Wade, you're here to speak on behalf of this application tonight, please, sir.
My name's Ron Wade, 441 York Street, Aiken. We want to move the sign where we previously had it approved to more inside of the driveway in front of the school. When you come in the driveway, you'll drive by it, and right near the entrance door to the school. They prefer it to be there rather than out by the highway. They really thought they wanted it. So I'd ask you to approve that. It's really a better location for them, and also the sign will not be that visible really from the road, so more or less for the school people. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Wade from the commission? Okay, so he's asking for the proposed sign, and this is a variance from 32 square feet, 37.88 for this application. So that's what we're voting on tonight. Do I have a motion?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, for application number 24-91005 for a signed ordinance waiver, I say we send it to City Council for approval.
Okay, Commissioner Erb, thank you for the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Matthews. Discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Like, sign, opposed, and it passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Wade. Okay, we will move on to application D and E. This is application number 24-60008, which is a rezoning request, and application number 24-23008, which is a concept plan request in the same location for tax parcel number 120-09-05-002. The applicant here is VP Riverside LLC. This is a current zone of RS10, coming in asking for proposed zoning of planned commercial. And will the applicant please approach and give us a summary of the application, please? Just to be clear, we're just talking about the planned commercial section at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Todd Glover. I'm part of VP Riverside LLC, the applicant for, and this particular piece is PC. Mr. Chairman, would it be okay if I kind of did a broad of the entire deal and then
That'd be
hit
fine.
on the PC?
Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fine.
If we could go back to this plan. And the reason I asked that is because if you recall, about a year and a half ago, we were successful in being rezoned for 330 build-to-rent townhomes that encompass the entirety of the almost 50 acres. And I think we learned a lot from that exercise as well. And I just wanted to point out a couple of things that we've included in this plan that, as we've built upon the prior plan, I think were improvements, particularly the drive that is aligned with the entrance to Aiken High School, which is the one in between
That's Rutland Drive.
right off of Rutland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right there. If you recall, initially that was the main entrance drive off of Rutland into the 330 townhome units.
I remember that.
Once we were able to confer with DOT and we found out that we were too close to the signalization at Highway 19 in Rutland, we felt like making that the main entrance and then coming out as opposing traffic to the main entrance of the high school probably would not be the best traffic situation. So we actually moved the main entrance down next to the tractor supply that we show there. So the main entrance or ingress egress to Rutland from the residential area now is not opposing traffic to the ingress and ingress to the high school.
Right.
Just a way to try to deal with the lack of a traffic light. you know, we did try to make this more of a mixed use, which is actually part of your comprehensive plan calls for this area as future land use to be mixed use. And so we did come with a plan to provide single-family detached, single-family attached, and planned commercial. So I'll dig into the planned commercial, and then I'm going to ask Bert with Cranston Engineering, who is our engineer on this project, to come forward and talk about some of the more technical details. The 6 buildings on the right-hand side of the planned commercial, those were mainly for illustrative purposes for us to be able to determine a lot size, what type of commercial building will be able to fit on there and comply with the PC. Now, as part of our application, we are requesting a variance from a setback of 75 feet to 60 feet within the PC section. And we realize that we'll have to come back on those 6 parcels specifically back to the Planning Commission. If and when we have a tenant for those parcels, we'd have to bring that site plan back to the Planning Commission for approval. So tonight we really have 2 issues: the overall PC rezoning for that
That's
front
correct.
11.4 acres, and then specifically the site plan approval for the Tractor Supply, which is there next to the Dollar Tree.
Correct.
So at this point, I'm going to ask Bert if he would come forward. We also have Charles Dunstan here, who is the developer for the Tractor Supply.
Okay, thank you.
Do I need to state my name and address?
Please, just for the record, thank you.
Bert Fine, Cranston Engineering Group, 815 Stanton Drive, North Augusta, South Carolina. I just want to speak to some of the comments that were in the staff report that were received from engineering. One, they wanted to see regional detention on the site as it was a preference by them. The concept plan shows regional detention along the back of the property. Aside from what is shown as the Tractor Supply, the Tractor Supply has requested that their detention remain private as well as their stormwater infrastructure. So that was a request by them. Another item was that all commercial drives were to remain private. After some discussions with the engineering department, majority of the commercial drives are to remain private, but the main access off Rutland would be intended to be public, as it is a major corridor through the whole development, and there is a tendency for traffic to circulate from Rutland to 19 through that area. Other than that, I think we've covered the setback waiver. I don't think we spoke to the open space waiver. The current concept plan does comply with the code and shows approximately 22% open space. We're asking for a reduction to 15% in the event that some of these unknown uses on the smaller out parcels would require some things such as loading areas or patios for restaurants, things that would eat into that open space. We would just like some leniency there, and it would be our intent to provide as much as possible and try to achieve the 20%. Is there any questions?
Okay, so any questions from the commission? Let's go ahead and approach those now with.
Yeah, so I guess the 2 concerns I have are the 2 waivers you're asking for. One is the rear yard setback. Let's just talk about the Tractor Supply building right now. You're asking for 60 feet, and the requirement by ordinance is 75 feet. Again, I don't see any reason why any limitations that you cannot move that property line back another 15 feet to get that 75 feet, to get that separation between the residential component and the fairly large industrial type building. The other ones, the other side, again, of the commercial, the 6 other buildings, you don't know what's going in there. And the buildings could be a lot smaller, they could be bigger, you don't know right now. So I think any waiver that would be granted would be at the time that you come back to the board with actual buildings that you're proposing there versus a carte blanche, now reducing the rear yards to 60 feet. So that's like you said, it's totally unknown, so to give a waiver for something that's totally unknown, there's no reason for that, besides giving you flexibility.
But before you guys respond to that, Ms. Moultrie, there is nothing stopping us, correct, from in the future when they start to develop these 6 properties from granting a waiver then, if need be.
That's correct. You can do so.
That makes sense, yeah, if there's a real reason to do that, that makes sense to do it at that time. But again, at the Tractor Supply area itself, you're cutting into a small recreational area in the back by 15 feet, right along there. I don't see any reason why that can't be done, and that also solves your open space problem. Instead of asking for a waiver of open space, again, just on the Tractor Supply right now, that could easily meet the 20% just by moving that line over.
If I could respond to
He needs to stay at the.
you
So
need to be on
we
the
got to be
record.
able to hear you. Can we have a pointer? Is there a pointer on that? Used to be. There was for DRB.
we have a pointer.
Someone was pointing.
Sorry, we're trying to find you a laser so you can go up and point.
He's gonna point.
We got a pointer.
gonna
We got a
point.
pointer.
We're gonna go old school pointer here.
Who was pointing?
Yeah, I've got a pointer, but
Initially, we can do it this way. Initially, the plan that we submitted
Vanna
for
White.
the PC met the 20% requirement, but the property lines, well, here on the other side where the park is, Bert, the property line for the commercial jogged up well into the middle of that park. And so in talking with staff, we felt like by bringing that property line down, you actually make a better park and amenity for the residential piece. We can easily take that property line back up and cut right through the middle of the park, but that does nothing for the PC piece. It does nothing for the commercial. A business is not going to maintain a park behind it, but an HOA is situated to do something like that. So where we had met the open space requirement, it did not suit the open space programmed,
the recreational space.
the recreational space as well. And so when we agreed to move the line down, we actually have a much more impressive park for the residential area, but then it impedes into our open space on the planned commercial. We can easily meet the planned commercial, but then it takes half of the park away.
Well, that's just how you lay that out. I mean, again, you don't know what's going into that commercial space. The buildings could be smaller. Again, the ordinance is 75 feet, so I really see no reason for the waiver right now. Reason for the waiver.
Well, I would also, where's we included in our narrative an excerpt from your 2023 comprehensive plan talking about walkability and modern development standards in your commercial zones. And it talks about when regulations such as setbacks or parking requirements erode the ratio of tax-producing land to public requirements, just as the issue of walkability, stormwater runoff, or a host of other issues. In this case, the setback on the Tractor Supply, it's not going to change the position of that building if we move that property line. It's going to be an invisible property line.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone riding past is not going to know the difference between Tractor Supply's property or the residential property, which is set to be a dog park. But because that property line has moved, that dog park is now smaller. So to anyone, I mean, an open space requirement is for the public's viewing. I mean, they're not going to see a property line there. And by moving that property line, you're actually reducing a planned public amenity. And it makes zero difference. I mean, it's just an imaginary line. And that's the reason we requested the setback waiver.
Okay. Any other questions for the developer? Okay. Anybody here to speak in favor or against this application? Any comments? Sir, did you have any comments? Thank you. Okay, we'll get to that. Okay, seeing no comments, do I have a motion? Don't make me call on you.
Against the waivers.
So the motion would be to approve or
I'll do it, Mr. Chairman.
We can always discuss after motion is made.
I just
and
need, correct, we need a motion and a second, and we can discuss and amend.
I make a motion on application 24-60008, rezone, and number 24-23008, concept plan for text parcel 120-09-05-002.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, can we separate those two out?
What?
Okay, wait a minute. The motion was,
Yeah, he seconded pretty quick, but to move to, city council for approval
with the possible conditions listed?
with the possible conditions. And those possible conditions of 9,
So that includes,
for the setback from 75 to 60, I thought we were going to discuss that.
okay.
Well,
So a motion's been made to accept this as listed, and it's been seconded. Now let's discuss.
Okay.
Okay, so what's been brought to the table for vote after discussion is that possible conditions 1 through 9 are, this is approved, 1 through 9. Number 6 is a variance request to reduce from 75 to 60 feet, which they just explained as their reasoning why, to provide more open space and overall controllability from an HOA on that open space back there.
Well, by approving this and sending it to council, council will have the final say.
You are correct.
A recommending body, but there also will be changes as, I mean, this lets y'all move forward.
That is
You
correct.
follow? And I mean, this is just one of the humps you gotta get over, and then you can get to the meat of designing and all that.
Yeah.
I think they understand that.
Yeah. So I know, Pete, you've mentioned you're not a big fan of the 6th condition. I understand it, but I do think the explanation was reasonable enough. I would personally be in favor of making an amendment to strike out number 7 just because it's a hypothetical. Like we don't know if they actually need that variance yet. Right. I would happily reevaluate it when those commercial properties start to get developed and make that call then. But I'm just not a fan of making variances for an absolute unknown.
I don't disagree with you, and I agree with you on the setback. I have no issue with the variance request of the setback from 75 to 60 feet for an imaginary line. And that's my opinion on that.
So Sam, would you be willing to make an amendment to just strike the 7th waiver? Or the 7th, number 7 there?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I can make an amendment to my, if that's
So,
satisfactory to the rest of the board.
okay with that? Okay,
Okay, yeah, let's strike number 7.
okay.
That'll be an amendment.
Make your full motion, Commissioner. You're gonna amend your motion, and go ahead and state the full amendment motion, please.
Okay. Again, with tax parcel number 120-09-05-002, send to City Council for approval for these 2 applications for the rezone and the concept plan for the planned planned commercial. Planned commercial.
That's correct.
With number 7 on the conditions taken out.
Okay, so your motion is to approve this application as submitted with the possible conditions, but to strike condition number 7.
That's correct.
Okay, do I?
Chairman, I think if I could, in terms of amending, or I may want to look at that, I think that has to be stated because the application requests a variance, so we have to formally deny the variance. So saying number 7, that the variance request is denied to reduce the open space.
Okay, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Yeah, it has to stay in, but say denied versus.
Understand. Do you understand
Okay,
what he's saying?
yes,
Okay.
yes. Do I have to amend my motion again?
Amend your second motion, please.
That we deny number 7 variance request.
Okay. So the motion is for approval of the application as listed with the possible conditions, but to deny the variance on item number 7 from a decrease of 20 to 15%.
That is correct.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that again.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Clarkson. All right, any more discussion? Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, like sign opposed. Passes unanimously. Okay. We're moving on to our last
Move that line back.
our item G, application number 24-6009, which is a rezone, and application number 24-22006, which is a concept plan request approval for tax parcel number 120-09-05-002. This is the same location, same developer, VP Riverside, and they're currently at RS10 in the county, and they're asking to come into a planned residential. So for this application, we will review the rezone as well as the concept plan. And I'll ask for you gentlemen to come back to the podium if you would, please, and give us a summary on this one, some of the variances you're requesting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is for approximately 38 acres, planned residential to the back portion from the PC that we just considered. It's reversed in the packet, but it's 210 single-family attached townhomes, and which consists of 22.4 acres, and then 59 single-home detached parcels, which consist of 15.
Okay, so this is under the overview of proposed development, staff comments, so I just want to make sure we're correcting that for our purposes, right? Okay, thanks, go ahead.
The plan, we do meet the open space requirements for the PR tract. We're about 3/4 of an acre over the 20% requirement. We discussed we're at the 50% for program, which we discussed in the PC part is why we moved those property lines somewhat. So we have, tennis court, pickleball courts there, playgrounds, dog park, a really impressive park as you come in on the right there off of Rutland with walking trails. For the 210 attached townhomes, we have 5-foot setbacks, but we have 10-foot open space strips in between them. So that's how we were able to meet the 20-foot building fire code requirement. We are also asking, I know that your ordinance requires sidewalks on both sides of the street if you're within, is it a half mile or a mile of a school? 2 miles?
Yeah, we understand what you're saying.
We're requesting the section off of Highway 19 that backs up to the homes on Peach Orchard Place. We're
Okay.
asking for a waiver for that 800 feet strip there of sidewalk because there's no homes on that side of
Only on the northern end.
the northern side.
Correct.
From Highway 19 up into the pickleball court area.
Correct.
Okay, that's understood. Thank you.
We do have the 10-foot perimeter buffers provided around. The perimeter buffers will be either planted, left undisturbed, or have a 6-foot privacy fence. We do have the 25-foot street yard provided along South Carolina Highway 19. The median requirements on our entrances, we're asking for a waiver because the width of the medians actually pushes our entrance outside of the DOT regulations. We have to be 220 feet from Peach Orchard Place and the drive at the Sprint station. And the wider we make that median in that turn, it moves us in either direction away from. And so the way it's written is that it's a 10-foot median. What we're asking is we will have a median. Don't specify the width because DOT may tell us to move that drive
Understand.
south. So we're fine with the requirement of the median. We don't know that we can immediately comply if you say 10 feet and DOT won't require it. We're going to have to move that drive in one direction or the other. Did I say that correctly, Bert?
It's listed in the possible
What we meant to
conditions.
say is we're willing to have the median if the DOT will allow it at all. It was the way that the Sprint's driveway lines up with Peach Orchard Place, it seems to be a perfectly planned.
Well, the
location.
condition here allows, provides a waiver for that based on DOT. So it is
So as
listed
long
as
as
a
if
waiver.
the DOT says you cannot have an entrance here because you don't have 220 feet, we would not be able to put a median there.
Understood.
So just for clarity, the zoning ordinance actually has a 15-foot request for median. The waiver is for 10-foot, assuming SCDOT is okay with it. That's the way it's written.
Yeah,
That's the
not
way-
doing away with it, just making it more narrow.
They're giving you latitude based on DOT comments. So point taken.
We are requesting a waiver for the detached side setbacks or building distance to be 7.5 feet, which is 15 feet between buildings, and that would be for single and two-story homes. That is just for the 59 detached single-family lots. As I said, the attached townhomes meet the 20 feet requirement, and we're asking for a waiver on the exceeding the 30% of units for front-facing garages. Then I'll ask Bert if he'd like to discuss any of the technical issues there.
I really think he covered everything. Is there anything in particular you're thinking of?
Okay.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Any comments, questions from the commissioners to the developer on this particular application? Let me see if y'all, yes, sir. You have a comment?
Before it was gonna be houses on both sides of the road, and now they're gonna just have free land from backing up to Peach Orchard. I understand that. It was just told to me, so I didn't know that before I got here, but that's cool. What's the story on how much land is between the road and the Peach Orchard line for people? And is that gonna be with shrubbery or greens or what?
Are you asking about the entrance road that's behind the lots on Beach Orchard?
Yeah.
Right here?
What's that distance? The applicant?
And what I was wondering
Okay, so the minimum distance has to be 10 feet. That's minimum, although it looks like it's more in some areas, depending on where you are. They're gonna have to have a buffer there. They will have to have a buffer or fencing or something
Okay,
back there, yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Are you guys considering putting a privacy fence at all? Or have you thought about that?
We asked for the option to put a 6-foot privacy fence in lieu of planting the buffers in particular areas.
Okay.
Really with regard to one side of the proposed subdivision line, so that both sides don't have to be planted.
Right. Okay. Comments, questions for the developer from the commission? Okay. No comments, so I have a motion for the applications.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, in regards to, excuse me, application number 24-60009 rezone and number 24-22006 concept plan, tax parcel number 120-09-05-002, current zoning RS10, proposed zoning, PR plan residential, and I move that we send this to city council with all 9 possible conditions. And I would like the developer to know what number 3, that the required building separation are met for the zoning ordinance. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Because we're in agreement with the fire marshal.
I'll second that.
Well, Mr. Charles, do you want to add an additional waiver for that sidewalk that they were talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so just amend your motion, and Commissioner Messina, if you'll second it. Just
I amend the
number-
motion.
Yeah, add number 10.
Below the sidewalk.
Number 10,
Number 10,
yes, sir, and it would be the, we are granting, I guess, a waiver?
Removal of the
A
west.
waiver to remove the sidewalk requirement, the northern piece,
Yeah.
Yeah,
one
just,
side, the northern piece of from Highway 19 to the pickleball area.
Playground. Yeah.
Commissioner Matthew, could I clarify what?
Hold on, let's get to the motion here, and just stand up there for a second, if you will. And
so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a waiver to remove the sidewalk the northern piece to the pickleball court.
from Highway 19 to the pickleball, yep.
I'll re-second that.
Okay, so, there's been a motion to approve this application to recommend to city council with the conditions listed, 1 through 9, and then the additional number 10 to, give you a waiver for the, northern part of the sidewalk, we're going from Highway 19 to the pickleball court. Now discussion, okay. You had a comment.
I think Commissioner Matthews is asking me a question and I didn't hear him, so I didn't.
Okay.
You said about condition number 3 and if we were.
About number 3, where we're all in agreement with the fire marshal, so with the possible condition that the required building separation are met for zoning ordinance section 4.2.9, where you're asking for the waiver for the setback. And the fire marshal has commented that public safety is opposed to the setback request waiver.
Understood. We'll have to plead our case to council.
Yeah, basically what he's saying, that this condition, is asking you to maintain the code separation. That's what's been motioned and voted on. Okay. All right, any other discussion on the commissioner? Anything? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. Like, sign, oppose, and the application passes unanimously. Okay, seeing no other comments, we'll motion for adjournment.
so moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you guys very much.